episode of Maximilian Must Know. Obviously, I want to wish everyone a very happy new year. Perfect fragrance we're going to be looking at today for this weather, and the fragrance is called Rouge Avignon from the house of Phaedon. And this was a house that at the beginning of the year was sold on Lucky Scent and a few other places, but none of the scents were really on my radar. And then at some point during the year, I guess, they repackaged their line and introduced some new scents, and a buzz started to generate within Fragcom. And two scents were on my radar, one called Rouge Avignon and the other called Tobacco Rouge, which got a lot of comparisons to Fragcom Darling Tobacco Vanille. Now, for the record, I'm not as high on Tobacco Vanille as everyone else is. I think it's a great fragrance. I think it's also the best from the Tom Ford line, which I'm also not as in love with as some of my reviewer colleagues. I think it's one of the most ingenious and best smelling fragrances of all time. But I think that if there's ever been a niche fragrance that's become mainstream, it's that one. I know girls that wear Tobacco Vanille, people who work for me wear Tobacco Vanille, and I kind of try to stay away from it, especially at that price point. I would never turn down a full bottle, but I'm also not paying $200 for that fragrance. That may change at some point, we'll see. Now, what made my desire to sniff Phaedon out is the fact that a fabulous newer niche fragrance store opened in the Village at West Broadway between Grand and Canal, sort of on the border of the West Village and Tribeca, called Oswald. And they have a brilliant selection of fragrances: Parfume General, Xerjoff joined the club line, Amouage, Clive Christian, Carter Barcelona, stuff like that. So I made my first visit to Oswald earlier this week and convinced that I was going to either walk out with Rouge Avignon or Tobacco Rouge. And I really enjoyed it in there. They have a fabulous selection. I already mentioned the fragrances, but really first and foremost, they're a skincare shop and a wet shaving shop. So even though I didn't have time to look at those products, I'll come back for that. I was there for the fragrances and to get one of the two I mentioned. And I smelled Tobacco Rouge, and it was really nice. It might be something I pick up next year when it gets colder out, but Rouge Avignon, this one just blew me the fuck away. Renee, the reviewer Renee Zayas, did a great job with his video, and I'm going to try to do my best with this as well. I also walked out of there with a 50 ml of Cosé by Parfumerie Generale, a French fragrance house owned by a perfumer named Pierre Guillemer. And coincidentally, he's the perfumer behind this scent as well. Cosé is a fantastic scent, but we'll look at that in a different review. Today's Rouge Avignon. One more thing about Oswald. They asked me if I wanted samples, and a girl I'm dating and my mother's birthday are both coming up, lucky me, around the corner. So I was looking for some nice florals, and they gave me a nice selection of samples from the Rouge Dove line, which I guess is great for the women in my life, not as great for my bank account. But they were really generous, and I couldn't have had a better experience at Oswald. So check it out, guys. It's a must destination in New York City for fragrance and beauty product lovers. I'll be back there very soon. There are a lot of houses I want to explore there, and a bunch of fragrances that I want from Parfumerie Generale and Parfum Aroma. So more to come from Oswald. Now, before we talk about the house, let's talk about, before we talk about the scent, let's talk about the house for a bit. Phaedon's a Parisian house founded by two friends who named their house after a Greek philosopher named Phaedon of Elis. Phaedon was a man of noble birth who was forced into slavery and prostitution in Athens, and his mind and beauty impressed Socrates so much that he convinced his wealthy friends to buy Phaedon's freedom. And he took him in and made him a disciple. He was also very good friends with Plato, who named a dialogue after him called Phaedo. And after the death of Socrates, he evidently returned to Elis, where he started a philosophy school. Now, 25 centuries later, these Parisian gentlemen have named their house after him. Phaedon was started in 2011. Some mystique to the house, as the two gentlemen who own it prefer to remain rather anonymous to keep the focus on fragrances. What is known, though, is that they have some really good perfumers making their products. Pierre again, the owner of PG, I believe it's Guillemere, did a few of their scents, and he's a brilliant chemist turned perfumer. He owns Parfumerie Generale, and he's the perfumer, again, behind this fragrance. Rouge Avignon was released this year. It comes in one concentration, eau de parfum. Phaedon refers to it as haute concentration, which means high concentration. One size, 100 ml. One price, $160. So very, very good pricing for eau de parfum quality. As far as your presentation goes, it's a very simple box with a sticker that says Rouge Avignon, the Greek key that Versace has used, some leaves that sort of look like cannabis leaves on the side, but I don't think they are. Maybe they are, I don't know. Information on the bottom, Phaedon Paris at the top. Again, sticker on the bottom with ingredients. Your bottle is a really, really nice, relatively heavy bottle with the sticker in the middle, sticker on the bottom with the code, and an okay atomizer. Pretty good, actually. Good distribution of fragrance. So no complaints with the presentation. It doesn't blow you away, but it's also very simple, very elegant. Now, notes on this fragrance are going to be raspberry and rose at the top, ylang ylang, cocoa bean, hinoki wood, black truffle in the middle, vetiver, sandalwood, musk amber, and black truffle in the base. And what Phaedon was trying to do here was create a fragrance that smells like the Papal Palace in Avignon, France. And more specifically, the carmine red of the Papal stole is represented by the rose and raspberry in this fragrance. Then you've got the earthy truffle and smoky vetiver to represent the smell of the private apartments of the Supreme Pontiff. And I've never been to Avignon, so I can't say whether they've hit their mark or not. But I can speak about this fragrance and what I think of it, and I think it's very close to a masterpiece. Give me a second to drink a little bit of water. So, it would have been very easy for Phaedon to do an incense scent, right? Comme des Garçons did an Avignon incense fragrance, and I like this much better. In my view, this is complex and dark and deep and very original. I don't like rose scents. Those of you who watch my sample shopping episodes know that I haven't been able to find a rose scent that I like. Not Lyric Man, not Noir de Noir, not Rose Poivre. It just doesn't work. I don't primarily look at this as a rose fragrance. Rose is there, but it's not the primary thing. To me, it's one of the few fragrances that really isn't dominated by anything. It's a beautiful amalgamation of all of its parts. You're going to get some sweetness with the cocoa and raspberry. You're going to get some florals with the ylang ylang and the rose. You're going to get some smokiness with the vetiver and hinoki wood. You'll get some richness with the amber and sandalwood. Some earthiness with the truffle. The hinoki note also gives you a note of perfectly polished wood floors. So another sort of example of the apartments in the Papal Palace. Very multifaceted fragrance, and each time I've worn it so far, I've had a new experience with it. It's a very dignified scent. Smells expensive. There's a mysteriousness to it that's appealing. This is the type of scent that I could see being at where I could be in a European bar or nice restaurant at a gala or something like that, and seeing a tall, dark, well-dressed, mysterious man wearing this fragrance. It smells a bit dangerous, but it also smells really wealthy. It's a fragrance that will definitely have people asking you what you're wearing. I think it's a compliment getter, and it doesn't project too much. I think it projects just right. Longevity is really good, 8 to 10 hours, but never too much, and it never jumps off my skin. Doesn't sit too close, again, doesn't jump too far. It produces a nice sillage bubble. I think it's a man scent foremost, but women could definitely wear this. I think 3 sprays is the right amount of this. I think this is a better cold weather than warm weather scent. I think it could be worn in the spring, and you might be able to get away with it on some cooler summer days. It's very versatile, and I want to say deceivingly versatile. Now, I wouldn't wear this to a softball game, but I think it could be worn during the day or night on many different occasions. It doesn't remind me of any other fragrances out there, guys. It's very, very unique. It reminds me a bit of Noir de Noir, but I personally like this better. The rose is less pronounced here. There's more cocoa and truffle. I think it's better than Noir de Noir, personally. This is a beautiful scent, okay? When I think of the niche fragrances that I purchased in 2013, this is going to go on that top 10 list for sure. The price is great. Phaedon is fairly well available in New York. You can get it in Oswald. You can order it online from Lucky Scent. The presentation is nice, but I don't think it matches how elegant the fragrance is. I would have loved to have seen like an Amouage-like presentation or something like that. But at $160, you do get what you paid for. And this is an original fragrance that lasts and projects really well. It is a 9 out of 10 for me. At this price point, for the amount of fragrance, there's very little to complain about. Phaedon has knocked the ball out of the park, and I want to explore this house more in depth. Anyway, I want to thank you all for watching this video. We'll be back next week with 3 videos, actually. A top 10 list for 2013, a grooming video, and another fragrance review. Anyway, I want to thank all you guys so much for watching. I am Maximilian.
Chance that you ever seeing me underground where the true cats pound their chest. Not with DJ Khaled, but trust me, we the best. One